This video is brought to you by MagicJank.com, the spiciest cards for your sauciest decks. Buy and sell Magic the Gathering products and gear today on MagicJank.com. What is up, Janksters? It's your boy Graham, also known as HamHawks42 on the internet, and today we have a special treat for you. This is a Jund mid-range deck leveraging Mishra Claimed by Gix, which is the meld Mishra from the Brothers War. So the whole idea is to meld Mishra. That's exactly what we're doing, because Mishra lost to Phyrexia, the melded creature, is so powerful, usually it wins the game on the spot just by showing up. In addition to that, we're also leveraging a tried and true strategy in Standard that is using Fable of the Mirror Breaker to discard a Titan of Industry that we could then reanimate and get Fable down. So we can win two ways. We can either meld Mishra or we can Titan Fable copy. Because if we can get the Titan Fable moving, that just wins games on its own too. And usually I've found that opponents can answer one or the other. Rarely can they answer both. So I'm looking forward to showing off the deck. But first, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons. So huge thank you to Angry Jellyfish and Else89 for the support. I couldn't do it without you. Thank you for doing what you do. And if you also would like to support the channel, you can do so over on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. You can have your names displayed here on all my deck tech videos and know that I appreciate it very much. Also, huge thank you to MagicJank.com. MagicJank.com is the sponsor of this channel. That is a new website that is independently owned where you can buy and sell Magic the Gathering products. It's a brand new marketplace. If you have a collection that you would like to liquidate, please check it out over on MagicJank.com. It's a great place where you can list your cards. And also, if there's anything you're looking for, whether it be cards or apparel from some of your favorite content creators, such as myself, it is available. So please check that out, MagicJank.com. All right, so thank you so much. And with that, let's get to the deck tech. I'm calling this Mishra's Jund. This is a standard list that, as previously mentioned, is leveraging Mishra Claimed by Gix. So this card is fantastic. It's a 3/5 for 4. Whenever you attack, each opponent loses X life, you gain X life, or X the number of attacking creatures. Definitely wants to be aggressive. Great. But if you control it and the Phyrexian Dragon engine, when they both attack, you can meld them together into Mishra Lost to Phyrexia. This card, it's a 9/9, and when it enters the battlefield, you get 3 of a possible 6 modes. All of them are awesome. There's Mind Rot, the opponent can discard 2. You have Lightning Bolt, where you deal 3 damage to any target. You have frickin' Naturalize, or Disenchant, destroy target artifact or planeswalker. It's artifact or planeswalker, not artifact or enchantment. Not disenchant, don't mind me, everybody. But you can destroy target artifact or planeswalker. So there's target planeswalker, just get it gone, or artifacts, great. Creature control gain menace and trample. That's a big deal if you have multiple creatures attacking. That goes a long way. It makes your team incredibly difficult to block. You'll love to see it. Creatures you don't control gets -1/-1 till end of turn, or you create two tap Power Stone tokens. That last mode, you're almost never going to use it, but the ability to wipe the opponent's board by -1/-1, if they have a lot of tokens lying around, those are all gone. And it can put them in really unfortunate situations to block if you also select the giving your team menace and trample in addition to those -1/-1s. It can really make the combat math almost impossible for your opponent, which is great. And then the other mode that I found to be incredibly useful is the Mind Rot mode, where you force your opponent to discard 2 cards. Savage. Late in the game when your opponent only has 1 or 2 cards in hand, that's just straight lethal. So as I mentioned at the top, we do have the Titan of Industry, Cruelty of Gix, Fable of the Mirror Breaker package. Those 3 cards are phenomenal together. We have seen it win games time and time again. No surprises. So it's not broke. Why fix it? So we have Fable of the Mirror Breaker, Cruelty of Gix, and Titan of Industry. If you're not familiar with the way that works, Chapter 1 of Fable, you poop out that little 2/2 that creates treasure token. Your opponent will usually prioritize removal to get rid of it because that treasure token shows up at a really opportune time, so you want to use it. So if we pull a kill spell from our opponent, or even a burn spell from our opponent on the Fable token, great. If we don't, then we can, some fireworks can happen. Chapter 2 of Fable, we discard the Titan as well as something else, draw into some action, attack with our Goblin Shaman. It probably dies. We don't care. We got the treasure token. Turn 4. Or no, that turn. Sorry, same turn. Assuming we hit all our land drops and our 4th one is untapped, we can cast Cruelty of Gix, reanimate the Titan, and crazy things happen. The moment you reanimate a Titan of Industry, like, it's usually game over. So that's great. Now we have a couple of other key pieces. We have No One Left Behind. This is a redundancy for Cruelty of Gix in that kind of situation where we are reanimating a big target out of our graveyard. The big target that we could be reanimating is, we have Titan. We also have Phyrexian Fleshgorger. This is another phenomenal card from Brothers War. It is oftentimes a 3-drop rather than a 7-drop, and it enters the battlefield as a 3/3 Menace Lifelink Ward. This is especially great against aggro decks. If our opponent is trying to attack us with a lot of little guys, putting a 3/3 lifelinker on the board is a big deal. And if, in the case of the aggro decks, especially like red aggro decks, they aren't likely to exile it unless they have the Etchings of Kumano online. But barring that, if they kill it, it's probably going to the graveyard, where we can reanimate it into a 7/5. So the fact that it fits both modes of being a cheap, effective 3-drop that helps stall the game and can put our opponent on a real clock that they have to answer, and then also be a top-end reanimate threat if we don't have a Titan in the graveyard, is fantastic. So we have 8 good reanimator targets that I'm not mad grabbing. You love to see it. All right, we also have Hostile Negotiations. This is another card from the Brothers War. It's an instant for 4. So the fact that its instant speed is great. You can hold up removal and then rip it on your opponent's end step. You'll love to see it. So you exile the top 3 cards of your library face down, and then you do it again. You show your opponent one of the piles. They pick one of the piles. You put that pile into your hand. The other goes into your graveyard. So you can get a little cheeky in how you display what you're giving the opponent, and the fact that the cards they don't pick go to the yard is fantastic. Like, if you show a Titan of Industry face up, they are damned if they do, damned if they don't. They can put it in your hand and you can just cast it, which is incredible, or they can put it in your graveyard and you can just reanimate it, probably with the reanimate spell that's in the face down pile that they're not aware of. So that's pretty sweet. It's a very fun dynamic, and it's 3 cards for 1. That's worth 4 mana, especially at instant speed. Yeah, card's great. We have the Phyrexian Dragon Engine. We obviously need it if we're going to be melding Mishra Lost to Phyrexia. Also of note, when Mishra Lost to Phyrexia is destroyed, if your opponents kill it, or like if they gang block it somehow and manage to take it down, or they hit it with like an Infernal Grasp or something of that nature, and Mishra Lost to Phyrexia goes to the graveyard, it breaks apart and the 2 pieces go to the graveyard. So Mishra Claimed by Gix is now back in the graveyard, potentially reanimatable, just saying. And then the Phyrexian Dragon Engine also goes back to the graveyard, and it has Unearth. So you can unearth it for 3 red. When it enters the battlefield, you can discard your hand and draw 3 cards. So it can restock your hand in addition to putting a 2/2 double striking body on 3. So the theme of this deck is put threats on board that your opponent has to respect, and then when they do, have a follow-up of an additional threat they have to respect. So the Phyrexian Dragon Engine can end the game on its own. Mishra Claimed by Gix is pretty solid, and with a decent attacking body can end the game on its own. The Titan of Industry or the Phyrexian Fleshgorgers can reasonably end the games on their own, and Fable the Mirror Breaker also provides so much value the opponent has to answer it. And then at the 2-drop slot, we have Infernal Grasp, just because we need something that can point and click destroy a Sheoldred. That's something that all decks in Standard absolutely need. Infernal Grasp is like the best in the game, so we're running it. And then Bloodtithe Harvester is another key piece, because you'll notice the Fable is actually the only straight discard effect that we have. So we have the Fable that can straight discard, and then Hostile Negotiations can get stuff into our graveyard too. But Bloodtithe Harvester's Blood Token allows us to get a little flexibility in that regard too. And again, sticking with the theme, it puts 3 power on the board. Now, it only has 2 toughness, so it's relatively easy to deal with, but any burn spells coming out to deal with Bloodtithe Harvester, burn spells that's not hitting our stuff later. And if we really need to get in a desperation move, this is definitely not something I would recommend. Definitely is not as a first choice, but it is an option. No One Left Behind can actually be cast for 2 to go grab the Bloodtithe Harvester or the Dragon Engine. So that is an option. If you absolutely have to just get an additional body on board to buy some time, No One Left Behind has that mode. So that's really handy. And getting an additional Bloodtithe Harvester can help dump something else into the graveyard. Yeah, you can do some cool things with it. So that is the deck in a nutshell. I do also have a sideboard for this. I'm going to be playing best of 1 for the purposes of this video, just for time's sake. But as far as the sideboard goes, I put in Duress specifically for the mono blue matchup. Being able to strip counterspells out of your opponent's hand is really handy. And Duress, generally, it's going to hit a counterspell one way or the other. They either counter it, or you see their handy and you take the counter spell out of it. So either way, pretty good. Misery's Shadow is in here specifically against like mono black opponents, or basically anybody running Tenacious Underdog. Being able to shut down the graveyard. This also is very nice against the sacrifice decks, because if they sacrifice a creature, like if you sacrifice a creature that has a death trigger, then you don't get the death trigger if it goes to exile instead of the graveyard. So that's pretty great. This is a replacement effect. They do not touch the graveyard, therefore it is not considered dying. It is considered exiling. So pretty darn handy. It's just good. And additionally, the reason that I picked Misery's Shadow specifically is because, yeah, like it can eat a Tenacious Underdog. That's all fine and good. But like I was saying with the Blood Tithe Harvester, Fleshgorgers, etc., it also is a large body on the battlefield. I mean, its power and toughness can be 2+ whatever mana you have available. Like, so it can get incredibly large in certain circumstances, and if the opponent doesn't answer it, they're just dead. So that's why it's in here. So it's one of those that I will side in if my opponent is leveraging their graveyard in any way. So that's the idea there. We have Terra Sunder for those mid-range decks. This picks off Fable. Fable's on the opposite side for 2. It also picks off Wedding Announcement and Bankbusters. So if you're going up against another mid-range deck, these can get slotted in. And on top of that, if you pay 4, it can remove anything, including pesky creatures. So really cool, and it exiles, which is great. So love to see it. We have Dreams of Steel and Oil. This is also for the mono blue matchup. Hate the hand. That is the approach that I'm taking if we go up against the mono blue tempo deck. Hate on the hand. Dreams of Steel and Oil, you can only grab an artifact or creature, which is a little unfortunate. Duress is definitely really where you want to be. However, those decks are running Tolarian Terrors and Haughty Djinns. So being able to pull those with Dreams of Steel and Oil is very, very important. Also, if you're running against any deck that is leveraging the graveyard with, again, things like Tenacious Underdog, this actually could be really handy in those decks. So if you're going up against a mono black deck, being able to, hit your opponent with a Dreams of Steel and Oil, you can strip them of the Shale Dread they have in hand and the Tenacious Underdog in their graveyard, all for 1 mana. That feels pretty good. So I'm thinking slotting it in against a mono black deck as well could be very useful, because you're probably always going to hit something. More Misery Shadow. And then we also have Fade from History. This is also for the... this one we got to be a little careful with. Fade from History is a very aggressive choice. This is good for the mid-range decks. So the mid-range matchup, we have this because those mid-range decks are running Bankbusters, they are running Fable the Mirror Breaker, and they are running Wedding Announcement and the like. Also, if you find yourself going up against somebody, some poor sucker who is trying to make like Arcane Bombardment or Rabble Rousing work, this just blows those out hard. If you have 3 great enchantments on the battlefield here, I would like to take all of those from you for 4 mana, but here, have a bear. It's not all doom and gloom. Here, enjoy a bear. Be aware, though, Fade from History does hit our Phyrexian Fleshgorger. It also hits our Fable of the Mirror Breaker and our Phyrexian Dragon Engine. And our Cruelty of Gix, for that matter. So, Cruelty of Gix, we can read ahead to 3. So, we can just get its value and get it gone. So, I'm not too worried about the Cruelty interaction alongside Fade from History. However, it blowing up Fable and Gorger is an issue. So we need to make sure we are getting mad value out of that. And we might even consider pulling the Fleshgorger out of the deck if we're slotting the Fade from History in. That way, because Fleshgorger is good for sure. However, it's fairly straightforward. It's just a big thing. Like I said, it's especially good against the aggro decks because of the lifelink. If we're going up against a mid-range deck that's doing more value, or if we're going up against like a Selesnya enchantments list, Fade from History is going to be incredible there. If your opponent's rocking like a Weaver of Harmony, Zur, and like that, or, well, Zur would be Esper, but you know what I'm saying. If they're rocking mad enchantments, if they've got the Leyline Bindings, they've got the Prayer of Bindings, they've got the Weaver of Harmonies, they've got the Jukai Naturalist. If they're going that route, Fade from History could be incredible, and definitely worth losing a Fleshgorger for, I think. Now, Fable the Mirror Breaker provides amazing value even if we have to say goodbye to the Reflection of Kiki Jiki in order to pop a Fade from History and survive. So I think that we probably wouldn't be slotting this out either. And also, Fade from History, Fade from History is a destroy effect. So our Titan of Industry could put shield counters on like our Fable and protect it. Also, our Phyrexian Dragon engines go to the graveyard after we destroy them. So we don't unless we are in a situation where we want to pull the Mishra package completely, which to be honest, I don't expect to do anytime soon. But the fact that like if we hit a Fade from History and the Phyrexian Dragon Engine goes to the graveyard, we can always unearth it later. So not the end of the world. And if we do that, we do get a bear ourselves that we can work with. So yeah, it's fine. I think it's a sweeper that has good potential. So, like I said, we are going to be playing some games. We're going to be playing best of one just for the sake of time. But yeah, thank you so much for checking out the video. If you enjoy this, please like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of this deck. If there are any glaring omissions, like if there are any cards that you would like to see here that you don't, or frankly, if there are some cards that you think are absolutely like nonsensical in this list, let me know. I'm very curious as to what you think. And yeah, I'd appreciate hearing some of that feedback. So anyway. Yeah, comment, like, subscribe. Thank you to patrons and Magic Jank, all the business. With that, let's get into some games. All right, here we are. I see 4 lands, Fable the Mirror Breaker, and a Dragon Engine in the opening hand. This looks like a snap keep if I ever saw one. Also, just be aware, this deck is also only running 24 lands. That was intentional because we have a lot of, you know, looting effects. And basically, like, if we have 3 lands in the opening hand, we're probably going to be okay. Jukai Naturalist coming in. Okay. Rock on, Oppo. Rock on. All right, we're going to hold up the Infernal Grasp. I'm tempted to blast that, but we'll see what they cast out here. Now, we might give them, like, a turn 3 Hallowed Haunting, which would be kind of a bummer. Well, we gave him a turn 2 Wedding Announcement. I don't love that. Could have prevented that, I suppose. You know what? We were going to take 2 damage anyway. Let's prevent the 2 life gain and get the Naturalist off the board so they can't take advantage of it next turn. Also, I can't help but notice they missed their land drop, which is a pretty good feeling, not going to lie. All right. I'm tempted to throw the Fleshgorger here. Yeah, I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to rip the Gorger. Normally, I would lead off with the Fable, but our opponent is making a play to the board, and Fleshgorger checks that. Another Naturalist. Okay. You're gonna rock another token. Cool. You're gonna go ahead and swing in with our gorgeous Gorger. Oh, they are gonna go for the double block. I am more than happy to accept that trade. Clean 2 for 1. Fable time. Let's go. We got a Shaman. Fable versus Wedding Announcement. Our opponent's stuck on 2 lands. Ah, there we go. We got a 3rd. So, and another Jukai Naturalist. My goodness. All right. Ooh, and Machikos. I have a feeling this little token is going to be crashing in for a fair amount of damage here. That's a 4/4. We're still at 21, though. So come on in. Welcome to my face. It has all those sweet, sweet amenities. More lands. My goodness. All right. I'm going to go ahead and dump the Deathcap Glade, and I'm tempted to actually dump the Dragon Engine here because we can always unearth it. I think I'm gonna do just that. I'm gonna trust my gut here. I would draw more land, which is not ideal, to be honest, but that's okay. We're just gonna crash in. We're gonna get that treasure. You know what? I'm just gonna do this. I was about to say they're gonna gain 3 life here. It's like, nah, they're not. I'm not gonna let that. Yeah, I'm not gonna let that through. Little Goblin Shaman makes a trade. Fresh Fable. Let's go. This little guy gets a little bit of a boon, a little bit of a buff, as it were. Buffs up to a 4/4. We're still at 15. I'm not too worried about it. And we have 2 lands we can loot away. We also have the Fleshgorger in the graveyard, which is pretty tight. So if we do draw into a reanimation spell, we can pull it out. So that's cool. I like that. Do we want to block here? We already have 6 mana down. If we top deck a Titan, we can just play it. So yeah, I'll go ahead and prevent the 4. I think that's worth it. No Dragon Engine. I'm not mad at that. Kiki hits. I am gonna dump both lands here. Let's see what we get. Oh, Mishra, what is up, dog? Oh, happy to see you, homie. Get out here. Boom, baby. And we have the Infernal Grasp up, Dragon Engine in the graveyard, locked and loaded, ready for the unearth. I think it's about to happen, everybody. It's about to happen. This is that moment in Jurassic Park where Samuel L. Jackson says, hold on to your butts. That's what's happening here. So everybody out there, hold on to your butts. I don't know why we're holding on to our butts, but we should. Of all the references, Jurassic Park? Anyway. It's a great movie. It's classic. Yeah. Catilda! Protection from vampires. No, notable. On your end step, yeah, she's gonna get blasted. Hard in on or around the faces. Alright. Alright. We got another reflection of Geeky Cheeky. Unearth time, let's go! And yes, I will absolutely take action. Discard those two. Draw some fresh stuff, including the Cruelty of Gix. Feels pretty good. Our opponent has one card in hand. I'm tempted to make them discard it. That is very intriguing. I'm definitely going to give -1/-1. We're going to deal 3 damage to any target. And let's buff the squad. I'm going to target the Portrait of Machiko here. Seems good. So we dealt 3 damage, dropped her down by 1. She was a 4/4. And we're now swinging in with Menace and Trompta. So for Mishra cannot be chump blocked. So that is a casual 9/9 that they have to deal with. Meld achieved. Booyah, baby. Pretty happy about that. Pretty darn happy about that. Now they have an opportunity to like disturb Catilda onto one of their tokens and swing in with some lifelink. Like that's a bit of an issue, to be honest. Yeah, and that's happening. Like 5/5 lifelinker, that's no joke. Yeah, and they can crash in. There's not anything I can do about it. So, fair enough. Titan's pretty tight. I like that. I like Titans quite a bit, as a matter of fact. I need to get that Titan into the yard. Problem is, I need to get that Titan into the yard, and I need to get the Titan into the yard, and I need to reanimate it in the same turn, and we can't do that. But yeah, we are gonna do this. That's protection from vampires. I can't target it because Blood Death Harvester happens to be a vampire. Bummer, yo. Just gonna pick those little homies off. Let's go ahead and hit the blood discarding Titan. House negotiations is nice. All right. We'll discard 2 cards. 3 damage to any target. There's nothing worth destroying here. So Menace to Trample. All right. Apple scoops it up. They see the writing on the wall. At the end of the day, Mishra is way too much value, and we were gonna get the Titan next turn. But that's Mishra doing his thing. Like, Mishra's good. I see 4 lands. We have Cruelty and the Titan in hand. We don't have a way to discard the Titan yet, but if we get our hands on a Blood Tithe Harvester or a Fable of the Mirror Breaker, this is just cash money. Also, if we throw the Phyrexian Dragon Engine on turn 3, which is a perfectly fine play, and our opponent destroys it, we could theoretically throw Cruelty of Gix on one of the higher modes, tee up the tee up the reanimation for a later turn, and then use the Phyrexian Dragon Engine to unearth and put the Titan in a graveyard. So we got options. We got lots of options, and I like that. That is exactly where we want to be. Additionally, we also have Beside You in the hand. So if our opponent does anything fancy with artifacts or enchantments, we can blow them up. That said, I'm seeing a Consider and an Island right out the gate. This is probably the mono blue tempo deck. This might be a rough go. The mono blue tempo deck is a tricky matchup for us. There's no question about it. It absolutely is. That said, if the Dragon Engine eats a counter and it goes to our graveyard, like an Essence Scatter or a Meg Disappear, we can unearth it later. So, not the end of the world. Now, our Cruelty of Gix resolving is going to be really, really tricky. And by really, really tricky, I mean not likely at all. They even tapped out for the Haughty Djinn. This is like, this should be a golden opportunity, but we don't have the kill spell. So we're just stuck. Just sitting with our cards in our hand like a fool. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Crashing in. 3 damage. 3 damage is fine. I can live with 3 damage. 3 damage, not that big a deal. I'm tempted to channel attack Enuma to hopefully draw into something. Draw into a creature of some kind. You know what? I am gonna do that. I'm gonna roll the dice. Let's see. Mill another dragon engine. Yeah, let's bring 1 dragon engine up. Ooh, Mishra. What up, dog? Happy to see you. Very happy to see you. Now, we don't have a 2-drop to follow this up. You know what? I'm going to try to stick Cruelty on 1. They're going to have a counter here. Almost guaranteed. But Cruelty is not in a particularly good spot right now. It's just not. Like, we have some stuff in our hand. They're considering. They're digging. Maybe they don't have it. That's exciting. I'm gonna go chapter 1. Let me see that hand, Appa. What you got? If you have another Djinn in there or a Talarian Terror, I want it go. Oh, damn. All right, well, we got one of the Djinns gone. They have another. That is mildly problematic. Mildly problematic. The haughtiest Djinn in on or around the house. Yeah, we definitely have an issue here. We're gonna search our library for a card, I think. I mean, Gorger's intriguing. We probably just need Fable. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna grab Infernal Grasp. And I stand by it. Mishra, come on out. Get out here. Have some fun. We happen to know they don't have anything that can deal with Mishra in hand right now, and that's nice. I like this. Now, we don't have the Titan in the graveyard, which is a mild inconvenience. Except for the mild part, it's like a hella nasty inconvenience. Because we're gonna hit chapter 3 and we're gonna grab their Haughty Djinn, which is fine, but not great. Alright, and now they have lethal on us. Except they don't. We Infernal Grasp one of the Djinns. They slip it out the back, so it survives. And we don't lose the 2 life for Infernal Grasp because they spell pierce it. No, now we're just dead. Alright, cool. Like I said, this is a bad matchup for us. This deck is very good. It's very strong. And the tempo deck is designed to beat like mid-range decks that are trying to cast spells like on time. And if we had the kill spell earlier and we could have picked that Djinn off, it would have been a very different game. But the fact that the Djinn grows so efficiently, nothing we can do about it. So, let's move on to the next game. All right, we have Zeator's Proving Grounds into like Infernal Grasp into Fable with Cruelty and Hostile Negotiations on lock. I mean, this is a sweet hand. I really hope we can make it work. I really hope we can make it work. Here we go. Zeator's Proving Ground with a fancy animation. Notably, all the Tri-Lands from Streets of New Capenna got animations added kind of later in their lifespan. Except, and we just drew the Titan. Get out of here. This is cash money. Except Jetmir's Garden. For some reason, Jetmir's Garden, the Naya one, does not have an enchantment. What's up with that? Or not, it doesn't have an animation. That's the word I'm looking for. Does not have an animation. Why is that? Doesn't make sense to me. Boop, boop. We're just gonna pick that off right now. Get it going. I know it can come back later, but it's not gonna come back right now. That's what matters. Fabula. Now, the fact that that land is a tap land is a mild inconvenience. That is definitely a mild inconvenience. That's all it is, though. Just a mild inconvenience. We're definitely going to dump the Titan. Oh, another Kami Transients. Rock on. That's an untapped land. That's less inconvenient. All right, sick. I want to drop the tap land. We don't need it anymore. And we got another land. I love it. I love it. Love it. Let's go. We got our treasure tokens. We're doing it. So, game 1, we got to see the Mishra meld. And it did the thing. Here we are in game 3 now. Okay, game 2 we got completely wrecked by tempo, which it happens. But game 3, we're about to pull off the other mode, the other classic use for this this deck. Just Cruelty of Gix, read ahead, Titan of Industry, value. We are gonna gain some life, and we are gonna whip out a Rhino. I could have gone with the shield counter route, because if they do have a Faithful Absence, that is going to be an issue. But I'm guessing their removal is primarily enchantments. And since their removal is primarily enchantments, shield counter, the enchantments all exile. Things like Borrowed Time or Leyline Binding, they exile the creature. So shield counters are irrelevant. So that was my thought there. All right, but we have a Titan of Industry down. Fable the Mirrorberg is going to flip next turn. It doesn't have haste, unfortunately, but that's okay. And we have the Hostile Negotiations in hand too that we can just rip. So I mean, our opponent's staring down a pretty nasty board state with a 2/2 that's not looking too hot right now. Generous Visitor is great, but you gotta have enchantments to follow it up. Circle of Confinement that's gonna be able to eat our Rhino or our Shaman. We'll see how they prioritize it. You know what? We're just sitting with Infernal Grasp back here, like whatever. Go over for the Rhino. That makes sense. All right, cool. All right. We just drew another Fable for good measure. Dang, yo. Friggin' dang, yo. Alright, I am gonna do this, because I'm a jerk. And then I'm gonna do this. Get in for 9 damage. They can block 2 of it if they so choose. I didn't think they would. And I'm gonna hold up Hostile Negotiations here. Ripping another Fable is tempting, but at this point, our opponent has a lot of cards in hand, and one of them might be a board wipe. Although, I don't know that the enchantment deck generally runs board wipes. Borrowed Time, that is going to be able to hit our Titan or the Kiki Jiki. Both good hits, frankly. Yeah, they're eyeing the Titan. Can't blame them. Can't blame them. All right, Abo. You're not wrong. They could attack here if they so choose. Wouldn't be a bad choice, but here we go. Hostile Negotiations on the end step. Some mind games. Let's see what we got. Ooh. If we show them the Fleshgorger, they're probably not going to give it to us. Which is awesome, actually, because then we draw the Cruelty of Gix and Double Dragon Engines. Yeah! I'm happy with either of these piles. I'm super happy with either of these piles. This is a great hit. Doesn't matter what they give us. So if they give us the Fleshgorger, rad. They did. They gave us the Fleshgorger, which puts the Dragon Engines in the graveyard. Dope on a rope. All right, we are gonna go ahead and throw. I don't know what that means. I absolutely do not know what that means. All right. This is what they call in the industry value. And we now with that treasure token, we have the reflection up to just make a copy of our Fleshgorger on end step. I mean, we've reached the point of the game where this is board wipe or bust. Or we can make a blocker. We can make a temporary Fleshgorger blocker. Yeah. I mean, they need to blow this board up or we're golden. Machiko's Ring of Truth creates a very large creature. It does not, however, give the creature trample. So that's delicious. Sure, giving the Spirited Companion a big buff means nothing because it's going to be gone by the next turn. Another Machiko's? Sure. Alright. Kind of surprised they gave it to the companion. That really accomplishes nothing. Like, they had that 10/10, but we can blank it super easily. Yeah, but we can chump it for days. We could just put one of the shamans in front of it and not care. Or we could make a copy of the Fleshgorger, which I'm going to do on end step, just so we have just additional flesh gorgings. Sometimes you need flesh gorgings, am I right? All right, I'm gonna dump those. We're under cruelty. Oh my goodness. This is relatively gross. We could have unearthed a dragon engine here too, but I don't think we need to, because all these guys have menace and lifelink. So if they want to block one of those, we get in for 10 damage. Yeah, that's lethal. We got it. I don't think there's any way they can stack the blockers. Menace is a beautiful thing, everybody. Menace is an absolutely beautiful thing. So there we go. This wasn't even one of our. I mean, we did do the Kiki Titan action early, set us up for success. They had to spend the resources getting rid of that, and then the reflection of Kiki Jiki, just with a good body at the end of the day. The prototyped Fleshgorger, not even like the star of the show by any means. To the point where I was talking about siding it out in certain matchups, like it just ends up bringing it home. Because every card in this deck is a threat. I love it. So thank you so much for checking out the video. It means a ton. If you found this enjoyable, please like and subscribe. It makes a huge difference to the algorithm. Also, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. If you have any feedback or if you have any other deck suggestions, if you have any crazy cards that you want to see me build stuff around, I definitely want to hear it. Definitely let me know down there. Also, I stream over on Twitch Monday through Friday in the AMs. If you're in, if you're in America, or that part of the world, like anywhere on that time zone, I'm not. Anyway, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is usually when I go live. So that's where you can find me. Twitch.tv/hamhocks42, playing this and other decks like it on the ladder. And we also do an event called Fight Me Friday. If you would like to challenge me to a duel on Arena, the challenges, I do have challenges for channel points that you can do any day of the week, but on Fridays specifically, I actually do have free challenges that anyone is welcome to throw their head into the ring on. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I'll catch you on the next one.